All right. Thank you everyone for having me over. Um, I'm Alistair, and I'll be presenting today with regards to our external accounting hub for Business Central. So what basically I'll be covering is with regards to what is external accounts hub, how we connect it with Business Central, and what all setups are there. So for my contact information, I currently work at CloudFront Technologies. This is my personal email address and my blog here as well. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn or ask any questions, my LinkedIn is also open to you guys. All right. So I'll give a couple of more seconds for people who might be scanning out or just capturing the screen. Uh, don't worry, I have it at the end. So during Q&A as well, so we can discuss more further. Okay. So what is today's agenda? Today's agenda is basically with regards to Accountants Hub in Business Central. This is a feature which is still in public preview and not been released yet, but there have been significant amount of activity going on, and I personally I would say that I discovered it kind of 2 months back, and I find it is a very good feature to like for an external accountant who works with the Business Central team. It is a very good feature, very decent feature, I would say, to manage all the accounts, clients, and everything. So this feature is already there since 2019, but I'm bringing it up because I came across it a couple of months ago, and I found it's really good. And as Raz mentioned, that people are looking for more functional sides. Uh, so yeah, this is one of the key sessions which I think everyone will like. Uh, Without further ado, I would like to just jot down. First things will be sign up and user setup. Then we are going to talk about licensing and pricing, then external accounts in Business Central, and how to use Accountants Hub as an application. Okay, inside sign up, we'll be seeing what is Accountants Hub for Business Central, how to sign it up, how to invite other external users into Business Central, what all configurations are there from an O365 and M365 admin center point, and then we'll talk about what all user configurations are there, in terms of Business Central, and then we'll look into how Accountants Hub uh, we can also view it in Business Center Admin Center. Okay, so what is Accountants Hub? In order to give a general idea, basically, the Accountants Hub is an app which connects with Business Central natively, and this is only available for Business Central online. So if you go and are looking for something like Business Center on-premise or nav, it is not there. Okay, so the point here being is Accountants Hub connects with multiple Business Central tenants. As you can see, this is the most simplest diagram I could make. I don't want to complex it, and I don't want to confuse people. So basically, we have one or two tenants in Business Central, and let's say I'm an accountant, okay, and I have multiple clients who are using Business Central. So how it happens traditionally was, I as an accountant, I used to go and ask them to either provide me their account, and using that, I used to log in into Business Central, and I would do all my accountant activities. But let's say if I have multiple clients, how do I know which one is going where? How do I manage my tasks and everything? So I think Microsoft came up with a clever plan, which is to have a accounting center for Business Central application tenants, and it will connect to your Business Central through some Azure connections through a guest account or so, and that way you can manage everything from a given hub. So if I have Business Central tenant 1 and tenant 2, and I have my hub, which is another tenant all over different Active Directory. So what I'll do is I'll just connect to BC, and I'll get the data whatever I need. Okay. Moving on. So how to get started? If you just search for Google it for Accountants Hub for Business Central, you'll be getting the screen. Now, most of the times we are like we as a consultants, we are not majorly into looking at these screens because we are directly going to home.dynamics.com and directly routing ourselves to Business Central. But if you look here, you'll find that for accountants, there's a page and you can click on Get Started. Okay, once you do that, it will ask you for your credentials, and then once you put in your credentials, it will try to log you in. Okay, and if you can see now, if you can go into your home.dynamics.com, you should be able to see Accountants Hub application present right besides your other D365 applications. Okay, now once you log in into Accountants Hub, this is basically how it looks. You will see all the list of clients present, whatever is the setup, and what all things needs to be configured are right here. Okay. One thing important here is this feature is only present for Business Central Online. Okay, so don't go searching it here and there. Second thing is this is a feature in public preview, so which means Microsoft has officially mentioned it that they do not take the guarantee if this product is will be continued or discontinued or changed to something else. Okay, so this is just to make the people and around aware that hey, this is the feature which is present, and maybe you can use it for some good amount of time until it evolves further. Okay, so this is the dashboard where you can see your tasks, you can see your groups, setups are there, and utilities. I would say it is made in a way that basically it has a basic base application of Business Central. On top of that, they have just put in your Accountants Hub extension, and it has like a a role-based access where only the accountant-related details can be seen over here. You cannot go and that tables and objects here and there, but it is definitely present as far as we see in the session. We'll see it further that what all is there and what all is not there. Okay, moving on. Okay, so how do we actually integrate Accountants Hub with Business Central? So if you have noticed, when you go to users page, you will realize that there's an action called invite external accountant. Sometimes basically the thing here is the user section is new to Business Central. The reason for that is earlier in nav we used to add users by clicking new, and it would simply add itself, and you can configure it, you can put in the emails, and it would just make it easier. But now with Office 365, the users automatically come into Business Central, and until and unless it is required, you actually do not get into Business Central for at least the user screen. The reason for that is you'll go just one time for permission setup and everything, but you will not actually take a look into what all is there. And there are new features which are coming up as well. So this is particularly one of the action which I clicked and to check what exactly is going on. So when I click on this invite external accountant, what it did was it will open this wizard where you have to accept, and you're now trying to invite an external accountant. Okay, so once you do that, you put in all your external accountant's email address. So this email address is basically the tenant address of the accountant using Office 365 or Accountants Hub. So once you do that, they will get an email with a connectivity related details in the email. Okay, so an email has been sent from Business Central. Now when I come to my Outlook, so this is the side which is your external accountant side. So the external accountant got an email stating that hey, this is the access to your Accountants Hub, this is your link, and click on the Accountants Hub here. So it will open the Accountants Hub with that corresponding tenant connectivity. Okay, so when I click on this, what automatically happens is it automatically connects to Accountants Hub. So Accountants Hub is now open, and it will automatically create the client, which is a customer, and it will link with the client URL. Okay, so it will fill in all these details for you. Generally, the address and the contact details are not filled. In this case, I filled it up manually, but the general section is filled in. Okay, now once that is done, your accountant has been invited to Business Central. So from an O365 M365 point of view, what you will see is my current tenant. If you notice, it is ort2.onmicrosoft.com, and I'm inviting another person from ort3. Okay, so these are the two different tenants. I have invited ort3 into my ort2. Okay, and uh, then it will ask me for my consent when I click on the URL. Okay, so it will ask, I'll be getting all this data and resource related information that this is not shared by Microsoft or anything. This is done by your partner, the customer. Okay, when you accept that, it will show that basically with a different accountant. So from an accountant's point of view, now you as an accountant, you can visit your customers Business Central. Now if you realize there's a different type of screen, it is most probably like a Business Central on-premise related UI, a little bit change here and there, but this is all online. Okay, so you will see that you as an external accountant get access to your customer's Business Central environment, and basically this is the accountant's dashboard that you will see. Moving on to Admin Center, what Admin Center means here is, so if you go into Business Central Admin Center, you will actually find this environment production with the type accountant. So this is where you have either invited your accountant hub or hub accountant externally. So let's say I am an accountant. Okay, so I want to check what all details are there with regards to my accountant's hub tenant. I just have to go to Business Central Admin Center, and in that environment, I'll find my accountant's hub as an environment there. Okay, moreover, you can also see what all apps are present in your accountant's hub admin center. So this is basically with regards to whatever is present in Business Central admin center by default, but this is also a good to have thing here. uh, Now if you realize, there is a basically D365 Accountants Hub application which is installed on top of our base application and system application. Okay, so this is how I concluded that, hey, Accountants Hub is basically Business Central, but I have blocked all the Business Central from a UI perspective, and I have enabled my Accountants Hub. Then this is with regards to sessions. So all the sessions for Accountants Hub, you can see it here, just like your Business Center, Admin Center, and you can manage your sessions. Actually, I was able to cancel a couple of sessions to make sure that Accountants Hub was running normally. Generally, Accountants Hub takes a fair amount of time to basically load, and like it's not as fast as Business Central, so you need to have the patience to do that as well. What is external accountants in Business Central, how we are going to set up, and the dashboards and activities. So when I go into my Business Central where I invited my accountant, I'll also see that I have a user created over here. Okay, in Business Central. Okay, now you can clearly identify the difference between the tenants over here. I'm calling my ORT3 as an external account in my ORT2. Okay, now if you see here, I'll open the users card, and by default you will be getting your business premium, export action, and troubleshooting permissions. You need to add your D365 accountant's permission in order to get access to your give a specific access to your accountant. Okay, so this is more like an admin task or a functional task who knows how to configure security roles and everything for a user. Okay. Yeah, so this is basically the accountant's dashboard that you can see in your customer's tenant. Okay, so if I'm an accountant, I log in into Business Central using my ID into my customer's tenant. This is basically the page that I'll see, and I'll be able to do a couple of more activities as well. But this is just for an information that you can just see this accountant's dashboard. Now we'll be coming to the important part, which is how to use Accountants Hub, what all is there. So there are pretty limited features with regards to Accountants Hub, but I would say they are very well placed, and it's a good thing to have these features. Some of them are not fully evolved yet. Some of them are okay, I would say. Some of them are good enough that you will prefer to use this. Okay, so a couple of more ones you can see over here. There's another list which will be after this section as well. So coming to the languages, if I take a look at my, I just have to type a in order to list it. So I'll see all the list of pages, tasks, and administration related things in my search box. So total there are 16 pages which open up. So first of them being languages. So I'm sorry. Yeah, first of them being languages, I was able to add my own language. So as long as your app service, which has Accountants Hub installed on it, has this language ID. So till at that given point, you can configure your language. So in this case, I'm from India and I prefer Marathi. So I just created my own language, which was present in Windows, and I just selected it. Okay. Then is with regards to queue. So this many people might be knowing that our dashboards are also configurable. So when you go into your queue setup, you can set up a couple of more thresholds, how we are going to set up the layout of the queue, which is an urgent or a less urgent, or a priority or less priority versions. So in this case, I have created two activities, which is I've given them a right kind of styling for favorable. Favorable mean you know not immediate attention is required, but it is there, so you can get this threshold set up. Based upon your second threshold, you can decide if my color from favorable should go into unfavorable or ambiguous. So this is basically a dashboard setup, I would say, where you can configure what all tiles and what all colors are to be selected. Then is with regards to the Get app. So I was hoping Accountants Hub actually has a separate app for Business Central, but they do not. So what at this point they are saying that you have to follow all the instructions, use your Business Central credentials to log in. So what I did is I installed my app and I logged in as an external accountant into my customer's account, and I was basically able to see this. So inside my app, there is a role where you can select accountant, and you will be able to see all the accountant related activities in your mobile phone as well. Okay, so this is the Get app feature. I was hoping really to see more, but that's the only limitation that I found here. Moving on, there's a manual setup. So just like we have our manual setups and assisted setups in Business Central, we also have it here. But I tried to change the customer batch name over here. I changed it to cash receipts. I changed it to, a couple of more, which is sales journal and everything. But at this given point, there's no drop down. So if you click on the assist edit, it will give you nothing. There's only general mentioned over here. So I'm hoping that it will evolve into something good. But at this point, we do not have anything great. Then we have latest error. So this is with regards to Accountants Hub trying to connect with Business Central. So whenever it tries to, connect through Business Central using APIs, there are a couple of issues which it faces. So all the errors that you want are basically logged in Accountants Hub. You can see them, and if you need any help from support or anything, you can just simply raise a ticket and you can give them this error, and I think they should be fairly easily able to help us out with this. Then is the code coverage. So if you know code coverage is in Business Central, similarly, we also have it in Accountants Hub. So this brings me to a question that if Accountants Hub can be extended or not. And to be honest, I could find Accountants Hub in extension management section in Accountants Hub, but I haven't actually tried and gone further with the customizations. Okay, so code coverage is also a part. So if you realize there are some objects which are also present as a part of our Business Central base application, but these these quirks are basically seen here and there. Um, while you're just playing up with something like an object metadata related tables and pages. Okay, so there's code coverage, which will basically show you what all triggers have been run. Something like events recorder that we have in Business Central, which will record our events. Similarly, we have code coverage over here. Then we have my settings. Now you'll realize that a couple of things are missing. First one is the company. Second one is our profile, uh, which is our role center. Okay, so these things are missing by default. The region is not selected and the time zone is not selected, but based upon your region selection, your time zone will be selected as well. Then is assisted setup. Now there's nothing inside here. I even clicked on a couple of actions to see. I browsed through the basic code through our, through our inspect to check what all data is there, but there was nothing actually. So I am assuming that assisted setup will have something in future, but we need to keep, looking for it. Then is the application area. This is also there as a part of our Business Central implementation. So I think this is at the given moment. If you see, we have just accountant portal which is enabled. I don't know what exactly that means, but I'm assuming that the application area for if you're developing any application or customization on top of Accountants Hub, you need to use accountant portal over here as an application area in your fields. Okay. Then was with related to data sync status. So if you are observing this pattern, basically there are features coming up, but we cannot see it come up because they have not been evolved yet. So I'm assuming that these things will be carry forwarded similarly to. So this is I think this is with regards to our CDS integration from Business Central. And we have this where we have our coupling and all this CRM related activities to do from Business Central's window. So I think the similar part is what they're trying to implement in Accountants Hub as well. Then is the notifications. Now this is again common to Business Central. If you realize that these are all the notifications which are available in Business Central. There's nothing new which has come up, but like it's there. So I'm assuming again that it will be a part soon. Then the table information. This is, I would say, this is also a native feature for Business Central, which has come up recently. And I would say this is a good feature to have, but from an accounting point of view, I'm not sure how it helps, especially, the accountants, but it is a good feature. So I'm seeing at this patterns, I feel that extensions should be there. So if you see in extension management, you'll also be able to see your base application, system application, and your application, the alias one, which came up in V16. So it is there here. Also, we have an Accountants Hub on top of it. So I'm assuming basically what they have done is they have installed the base application, the system application, and the application alias, and they have kind of masked everything over using the Accountants Hub extension. Looking at this, if you see, you will notice that there's an upload extension button over here. Now, since this is a production, you will not be able to download the source, but in Business Central, you are able to do in Sandbox. So I'm looking at this screen. I was happy that maybe we can, create an extension for Accountants Hub someday. Now, then we also have our data encryption. This is also there as a standard part of Business Central. Then we have another one which is support and contact information. So you can fill in your details and keep, and if there is any help and support related issues, who is responsible and who is supposed to be contacted, we can check it over here. This is one of the core features of Accountants Hub. So if you realize a couple of years ago, there was GDPR introduced in Business Central, in NAV 2018, and everywhere else. So this is more like uh, the safe version of Microsoft trying to play that, hey, this is your customer's data and it should not be leaked to anywhere else. So how do you classify your data and everything? So you are basically given a window where you can set up your own data classifications. So you can either import, export, or you can classify manually. Either of this is your choice. uh, Going to classify manually, so you can set up if the posting data is supposed to be considered as confidential, or template data is supposed to be considered confidential, or the setup table data is supposed to be considered confidential. You can just select this generic form, and it should allow you to classify your data in Accountants Hub. Now this is with regards to our data, that is in this case our entities. So you can just map them individually however you want as per your requirements. And to be honest with you, if you see a notification at the background that Microsoft is providing data classification as a matter of consultant's choice. So if there are any issues, Microsoft will not be responsible for it. And as I said, Microsoft is trying to play safe here. And since you dealing with customer data, I would say this is one thing to be considered. Now you will see that all the fields, now you can even classify your data on basis of fields. So you can just mention what all data needs to be sensitive, or company company how would I say it, company classified or unclassified, or whatever you want. So you can just set up each per your per entity. Then you can also see what all data is currently present in your Accountants Hub Business Central tenant. So that's how I was able to figure out. That was another clue where I ran it for payment terms table. So if you realize, our payment terms table is table number 3, and I was able to see all the payment terms related data in your Accountants Hub. So I am assuming that this is basically, again, the quirks here and there showing off that, hey, this is Business Central and this is a functionality based on top of Business Central, but for some reason they have taken it out. And I think this is like, this is how things should be expected. Then with regards to our company information, so this is with regards to our accountant company information. A lot of things are missing. So again, just a bare minimalistic version of Business Central, and you can fill in your details to keep it for maybe for some reporting purposes further. Then we have our Accountants Hub, a couple of more features which are accessible from a dashboard point of view. So these are actually the core features of Accountants Hub. The features that I've shown before, other than the data classification part, the other features were actually just present as a as a searchable item in Business Central, but they were not much of a use. Maybe we can hope for a couple of more months and we'll see something in them. First one is a dashboard, and then managing clients, inviting prospects, email setup, then errors, checking errors, deleting errors, and user tasks and groups. So if you look at the dashboard settings, if you look at the dashboard, you will realize that in the client summary, we also have a grouping section. So we have IT and manufacturing, and then I haven't actually classified my client over here, so I can see it right below. There's no indentation over here. Then we have our tasks. So whatever tasks an accountant creates in Business Central, those tasks can be automatically synced over here, and you should be able to find those counts and basically the amounts and the metrics, whatever is given. So you cannot actually customize this dashboard. Like from a design point of view, from a personalized point of view, that is always available, but like you cannot actually and I don't know how I can put it up, but I think profiles is the right way to go, but you cannot customize this using profiles. Sorry. So this is basically what you get. You are not able to change your role center, and this is what Accountants Hub is basically giving you. Uh, and if you realize there's a notification which says that this is in public preview, so there might be any changes which come up. Again, if you click on the roadmap, yes, then it will just show the steps and what all is there, what all might be coming up. It just shows you that there's no further information as to when it is going to be released, or what is the data, or what all the functionalities are to be expected. There are just a couple of basic functionalities on the Microsoft Docs. Now coming to the point of managing clients. So if you realize, whenever I invite a client from Business Central, okay, the link is already filled in. Okay, so when my link is filled in, you need to validate that link. So that's how your Accountants Hub actually connects to Business Central and pulls out the data using your user ID. So if you click on customer, there's a test client action. Once you click on that, it will see that the client link is valid or invalid, or it will also give you more information how the Business Central tenant URL should be. So once you put that in, you should be able to validate it. A fair bit of thing that I've noticed is when I was using a client URL, which was way more longer. So it would simply give me an error stating that there was an issue with your client URL. Although the URL was right, I think this is more like a bug from Accountants Hub point of view. But yeah, I was able to get this running for another tenant. Then when you click on go to company, so this will again open your Business Central. So if you see my company and client name is present over here. If you click on this in your dashboard, you should be able to visit your Business Central for your clients. Okay, and then comes to the part where Accountants Hub is majorly for. So let's say I want to invite some of my some customers or some potential customers. I can simply drop an email using this invite a prospect screen. So when I invite a prospect, I just have to fill in their tenant information. Okay, majorly the email address should be of that specific tenant that you're trying to invite. So you can click on that and you'll be able to get an email on the other end. Okay, so you'll get this email which will state that, hey, you're looking for Business Central trial experience and everything. So it will basically point you out that, hey, if you are going for Business Central, you can select me as an accountant. Then is our SMTP setup. So if you realize a couple of things are missing here, first one, which is send as and on behalf of whom you want to send. So these two fields are missing, but again, this is a bare minimum and we cannot expect much of it. So I would say this is the basic what we get. Then coming to the part of activity logs and errors. So if in this case, I was having a couple of errors with regards to syncing my tasks from Business Central to my Accountants Hub. So again, this is exportable, and I think this is given for you to actually connect with Microsoft support in case if there are any errors or issues coming up more regularly. So if you click on detailed info available, the field that you can see at the extreme right, you should be getting this notepad, the txt file, which you can open and check what is the exact issue. Then moving on, how do we assign tasks into Business Central, and then how will it go into Accountants Hub? So from a Business Central point of view, when I go into my pending user tasks tile on the accountant's dashboard, okay, I'll see how I can add my user details. How I can add my user task details. And once I do that, it should automatically sync into my business and into my Accountants Hub. But unfortunately, it didn't for me. I could not figure out what was the exact issue, but it gave me a tenant related information that, hey, this was the issue. And I would say in order to triage the issue, you can also use Accountants Hub telemetry on your Business Central Admin Center. So that's basically how you can, resolve it. Then is with regards to groups. So you can, categorize your clients into a specific set of groups, and then you can assign these groups on your client's master. And once that is done, your dashboard should be updated. Okay, so I'll assign this as a manufacturing. And if you realize under manufacturing, I'm getting this client. Okay. And this comes to the conclusion, like what all is there in Accountants Hub. My major motive here was to make people aware that, hey, there is such a thing like this which is present, and maybe if you want to recommend it to some of your existing customers to try out, or maybe if you're looking forward to get deeper into this, I would say this is like an open part where you can just jump in and check what is there. Coming to the license and pricing, we just have at the given point, we have just one free licensing. So what it means is, I was actually going through the licensing guide for Business Central, and I noticed that 3 accountants license will be there for customers who have a full Business Central license. So in this case, a full Business Central license actually qualifies for Essential and Premium. So if you have a single Business Central full license, you're qualified for an Accountants Hub license. Okay, and then as I was checking through, I got this table where I will say that my default Business Central subscription, which includes my my one full license and my production instance, I should be also able to find my 3 Accountants Hub license. And with this, I guess I'm done with my presentation. I'm ready for the Q&A. Raz, you're there?
Hello there, Alistair. Thank you very much for that. So that's a great feature. Obviously very practical for scenarios, and I'm sure it is a much requested feature. So yes, so let's take a look at these at the questions so far. Can anybody see any questions? I can't seem to see any questions listed yet. I think there was a question by the last question we had was related to Sachin. He says, does this mean that I have to buy an additional license for accountants for Business Central and Office 365? So I think you answered the question, but then he's asking Office 365 as well.
I would like to point out that Accountants Hub is basically available with a Business Central tenant feature. So it is basically like a trap, I would say. The reason for that is, let's say I have a Business Central tenant which I have already created. Okay, but when I have my Business Central tenant created, I can have with that same tenant, I can use my external Accountants Hub, but I cannot actually connect my current tenant Business Central with my current tenant Accountants Hub. This is basically that's what basically has been I feel like it's a trap that you need to get Business Central in order to get Accountants Hub. But how would I put it up is, you actually don't need to get any kind of Office 365 license or so. Once you just create an external user, which is actually created through Business Central, you don't need to buy any sort of license for that. And neither do I think that an external license is available for Accountants Hub at this given point of time. So more or less, it is basically, if you purchase Business Central, you will get Accountants Hub with that.
And there's a question on what other countries covered for.
So for now, they have a very limited amount of countries. I think it is listed on docs.microsoft.com. You can just maybe find it there. I do not have the list at this point, but I can browse through and put it in my presentation for later reference.
Yeah, and Sandra is asking, when is this coming to Belgium? So again, I'm guessing it's the same answer, to take a look on the docs site for Business Central.
Yes. Currently, I was able to find it in, I believe, UK and US, and a couple of more countries. I think I'm not sure if I saw Belgium there, but it was there for US and UK. I had just played around with this tenants to check,
Great stuff. Are there any other questions? So Sandra's saying no, it's not available. Yeah, fair enough, Sandra. But yes, look, we have Alistair online, and Alistair is, he's doing fantastic work in the community. So Alistair, feel free to ask your other questions, and if Alistair is happy to answer them, then please feel free. So Alistair, would you be happy for people to answer some functional or maybe developer-related questions for Business Central for the next maybe 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, definitely. For your more, if you want to contact me, we just have my contact information here. I'm just presenting it. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. So please again contact Alistair. There's his blog, alistair.tech, as well as obviously his email address. I've shared his LinkedIn profile. Alistair, I haven't seen you on Twitter. You don't have a Twitter account, do you?
I'm actually fairly less active on Twitter. I'm mostly, promoting myself through LinkedIn, and I'm trying to help people through LinkedIn mostly, and some of them through Dynamics community.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm just gonna share his. Feel free, Alistair, again to share your contact details on the chat window. I'm happy to do that as well. Also, guys, so remember, are there any other questions? What we're looking to do is understand the major issues around Business Central and Nav. What I'd like you to do is, even if you don't have a specific question related to the Accountants Hub, you've got more general questions, please do post them in the chat window. And now's a really good time to ask your questions and create dialogue. I understand that many of you attending today are mainly from a NAV background, and Business Central is still relatively quite new, and so obviously it's transitioning from NAV to Business Central. So obviously I understand that will be many questions from many of you here. So please feel free to ask away in the next obviously 10-15 minutes before we invite Fabian, who will be our next speaker. So please feel free to drop it. There we go. So Sandra is asking, is there an easy way to access date like we could in the classic client? Date.
Okay, so I'm assuming that it is with regards to our date feature. So I think we already have our, the shortcuts with regards to T for today or with data. I would say like at this given point of time, no. But what you can do is, in order to connect to Business Central, and if you're more familiar or comfortable with Excel, what you can do is you can connect to your Business Central APIs to pull and push the data. That is more easier. But at this given point, you have modern client, which is your Business Central Windows app, which is present, but nothing like the classic client for Business Central. I'm hoping that comes in, because I have heard a lot of complaints from my own colleagues that, hey, Navision was way better than Business Central in terms of the speed and everything that comes up with the classic client.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting to mention that about Business Central. And I think that's why Nav is still so much big. It's a massive product. There's still a very large user base. If you contrast Nav and Business Central to, say, CRM and to Dynamics 365, there's a massive contrast. I mean, it's hard to find people that are still using CRM. I'd say at least 90% of the customer base has transitioned to Dynamics, and with Nav it seems to be the opposite, isn't it, Alistair?
Yes, exactly. People are still comfortable with Nav, with the classic client, majorly because it was like an Windows app, more like an old Windows app, but it was way functionally sound, and it was very easy to use. But with regards to Business Central, the maximum we can reach with regards to our classic client is BC V14, I believe. So that till that point, we have our um, till that point we have our classic client available, but beyond that we just have our Windows app for Business Central. Okay, so I think there is Musaib. Will the hub be available for on-premise in future? Any roadmap? So nothing at this given point of time, Musaib. But what we can do is you can create an external account in your Azure if you're using your on-premise connected to your Azure AD, and from there you can actually no, wait, you cannot actually even connect to Accountants Hub, because there's a URL related validation, so it will require your Business Central URL only. So nothing on roadmap as of now. Nothing. I don't think anything will be finalized at this given point of time for on-premise. Okay, moving on. I hope I answered that, Musaib. Moving on. In NAV, the basic license packages come as 3. Does the same applies to BC on-premise? I would say it is more like a licensing guide kind of question, but in Business Central there is now a concept of a device-based license as well. So what it means is earlier in Business Central, before V16, we just had our user-based license. So you have 3 types of users. You can either choose the whole essentials pack or the whole the premium pack, and along with it you can choose your team members. But for Business Central, now Microsoft is actually introducing a device-based license. So for example, like a retail POS, so at that point where you can just purchase a device-based license and you can connect to Business Central. Sorry, but nothing, I don't think there's anything like that coming up for Business Central on premise. At least that's what the licensing guide says.
Great stuff. Yeah. So again, there's lots of questions around licensing, around NAV, Business Central. I know most of you are using NAV and thinking about transitioning. Oh, here's another question. So the next question is,
does the hub work with different instances with different localization? I mean, if I'm an account in LE in UK and LE2 in USA, can I work from both? Yes, as long as you're, there's a regional availability to your Accountants Hub, you can connect to multiple devices, multiple tenants. And I would say there's no issue with that. I think it is more like you'll have to maintain both of this together. But from a functional point of view, if you see, you can make use of language packs. I would say if you say that you are a North American tenant, which means that you will only access everything that is around the North American localization. You will not also include Germany or Dutch or anything in that. So I think that's how even Accountants Hub work. But you can connect to different tenants. So I think it is more of like a trial and error kind of thing.
Great stuff. Now, now's a great time as well to mention which industries you're particularly implementing NAV or Business Central for. So please, everyone, if you could share the industry in which you are implementing NAV or Business Central primarily your focus. And the reason why I ask is number one is we're looking to understand the different challenges you have for the different industries. We are also doing an industry specific event in a few months as well. We want to address the industry nuances for implementation. So please, everyone, please just drop in your industry that you are doing your implementations for. So we got a good idea. Earlier on, you had Paul. He mentioned obviously the 3 streams of industries that he was primarily involved in. So yes, so obviously someone's saying obviously We can see financial and professional services, financial, distribution, construction, retail. Fantastic, guys. And I mean, oh, automotive and plastics. Fantastic. So yes, so Alistair, whilst we still have you for the next 5 minutes, I'd like to ask, what types of industries do you tend to implement for?
Okay, so I have worked on a couple of finance industries, a couple of integration with sales and other implementation of e-commerces. I have also worked on the fleet, that is for Ubers and everything, and then I had worked on trading. So I have it is more like a reverse whole loop thingy for me, but not a specific industry.
And have you noticed much of a difference when it comes to implementing for the different industries?
Yes, that is, there are a lot of differences. First of all, the reason being everything is not streamlined as Business Central is created, uh, which is where the customizations come in part. I am mostly, I have developed mostly the customization side. I have worked very less on the core Business Central functionalities, but I would say that these functionalities are great as far as the basic implementation for along with the customization is there, but nothing complicated. But I would say, like, yeah, different industries have different requirements, and I would say there are a couple of more apps out there which you can try and see. You can even request a demo for it if you are looking for something new, and I think that's what answers it.
Great. So Jamie says obviously production, yeah, food production is obviously a big
Yep.
one. And a quick question to everyone: how has COVID-19 impacted your projects? Really keen to hear from everyone. I mean, Alistair, if you could begin. I mean, if you could share any insights into how COVID could be impacting, Nav and Business Central kind of projects.
Okay, so with with one of my recent projects, which is on trading industry, the my customer is basically dealing with energy related renewable fuels. So basically, what he's dealing with is he takes up the used cooking oil from the restaurants and he converts it into diesel. Okay, so that's what he is doing. And at the given point of time when COVID came into place, there was also a war between Saudi and Russia, I believe, with regards to food, with regards to fuel. And that basically impacted my client, where the fuel or the gasoline went below $0 per pound, sorry, per liter. And it is affecting tremendously. But when it comes to Business Central, especially with regards to customization, Business Central is very easy to customize and easy to code with even difficult logic. That is where the industry is, that is why I think people prefer Business Central, because it is very easy to implement in terms of other systems. And overall the impact has been normalized. There's not much difference in customizations and whatever the client requirements are. But I would say there is a little bit of quake here and there, but everything is good, especially for Business Central industry, I think.
Yes, I can imagine. No, yeah, I've mentioned, Sandra's mentioned retail there. So I'm interested in knowing how retail is currently impacted. As you know, food production is still, logistics are still taking place.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay, so like one of our customer at CloudFriends is from Maldives. The retail there has been stopped for like over a month now, and we had an ongoing project. And basically we had configured everything, we were ready for go live, but we couldn't go live because first of all we couldn't travel to Maldives. Second is with regards to the implementation there, like they had to reduce the number of shops where they had to sell and do all the part. So basically I would say that it is affecting some parts. On the other hand side, it is kind of helpful for other parts. So with regards to food industry, if you see, that is the only industry, food industry and the medical industry is basically where it is now kicking off. And the retail general stuff is still going down. Even the e-commerce is going down. But yeah, that is basically the pros and cons, I would say.
Okay. So we are now preparing for the next session now. So I want to thank you, Alistair, for your session today, and I said, and we look forward to obviously meeting you soon. So for everybody else, what we're going to do is we're going to play a short clip before we proceed